Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful day to talk about football. You're here with the Sports Ball Talk Show. I'm joined by Frank. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Frank.
How are you guys? My name's Frank Kennedy, and my favorite sports teams are anyone from Ohio. So I'm a big Ohio fan. Excited to do this with you guys today.
Solid. We're also joined by Gian. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Gian Bravo here. Huge Gators fan, and on top of that, Miami sports fan. Miami's taking it all the way this year. Go Fins, Fins up, baby. We're going straight to the house this year. You know what's up.
Awesome. So essentially, this is just a sports ball talk show. We're gonna sit here and talk about sports every day. Um, Upload a full episode, 1 to 2 hours, talk about football primarily, as we are in the peak of the NFL season, coming up on playoffs. Who's gonna be in, who's gonna be out. So that's gonna be it for the most part currently. And then on the off season, we'll talk about everything else from baseball, off season stuff. Basketball, things like that. But we're gonna just jump right into it because there's a lot to talk about this week. You can see the graphic right here. The goal line fumble by Josh Allen. Bills Vikings. Horrible, horrible game for the Bills. I don't know what kind of precedent this sets for the future, but I'd like to hear your thoughts, Gian, if you got something to say about it.
Yeah, no, I mean this was a tough game overall for both teams. The Vikings, a lot of people they were like a silent giant in the sense that like they were winning a lot this season, but this was the game to make their mark, and the Vikings pulled through. Unfortunate on the Bills defense and the Bills overall because this is just the second loss. One to the Jets and now the Vikings, so it kind of gives them more of an iffy look and feel. And then Josh Allen just fumbled the bag at the end of it.
Well, here's the thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this game. So, obviously, they got Justin Jefferson. That's a huge piece of the whole thing. He had some ridiculous catches this weekend in that game. But aside from how well the Vikings played, I think it was just a bad game by the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen having three turnovers, especially one on the goal line. I mean, it's time to talk about, is Josh Allen still in the MVP conversation, and then where are the Bills going now that they've lost to the, like you said, the Jets and the Vikings now. But it's just stupid little mistakes like fumbling on the goal line that lost in that game. So I don't really know how much this contributes to their overall status in the NFL, but I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, I think that it's been unfortunate with Josh Allen this year. He's had 6 interceptions in the last 3 games, and 4 of them I think were in the last game. And it's just he's been talking about how it's poor decision making on his part, but it's you hope that it's something to do with his injury because if it's poor decision making, then it's just something's happened all of a sudden to just you know mess with his head or I don't know what, but it's interesting and hopefully he gets over it soon because they're not going anywhere fast if he had 3 turnovers this game and keeps up with this.
Well, yeah, that's what I think everyone's hoping is that it's just his injury because I know he got injured a little while ago. I think it was last week or the week before that, and he said he's good to play and he's been playing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're at your full capacity. And obviously, you like to think it's that, and it's not necessarily the pressure that Josh Allen's crumbling under. Because up until the past 2 weeks, he's been front runner for MVP. Bills are going to the Super Bowl on everyone's side. People have been saying that they're the team to beat, and it's like how playoffs are a completely different game than the regular season. You can be mediocre in the regular season, but if you snag a wild card spot, you could go off in the playoffs like the Bengals did last year. Joe Burrow is just that good and when it comes to the pressure in the playoffs. And so maybe it's the pressure that's getting to Josh Allen. Maybe it is just the injury. I'm not a Bills fan personally, but I like to think that it's just the injury getting to him because I don't want Bills fans to have shades of Josh Allen, 2, 3 years ago, whenever he was still developing and made a lot of these stupid turnover mistakes.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
And I think that upcoming this week we'll be able to see how he is with ball security because it's supposed to snow I think in Buffalo. So seeing that and seeing how he handles that should be a good kind of metric for where he's going to go for the rest of the season.
Yeah, totally agree. Go ahead,
yeah,
Gian.
and in addition to that, like if you guys look at that last Vikings game, there was a lot of risky throws he's been doing. That the very last turnover to Gabe Davis, double coverage, trying to thread the needle. I get it. Don't get me wrong. He's a phenomenal thrower, phenomenal runner, great quarterback overall. But there were some easier throws you could have made there, but easier plays. You don't have to force the ball every time, and maybe that initiative to try to just march down the field as fast as possible and all that. It's getting to him and really letting these mistakes crop up more and more as the games go on.
Yeah, and the other side of this whole thing, like obviously it says a lot about the Bills. What are the Vikings? Because they're one of those teams that have been sneakily good this year. Like you said, they have one loss, but I feel like they've been kind of under the radar because it's like, they've won by a small margin of victory in all these games, and they haven't played the best teams in the NFL. It's not like they've been playing, the Chiefs and the Bills every week. It's been, a couple of, pretty easy opponents here and there. But I think that beating the Bills really gives them some status, and especially with the Philly loss, which we'll get into in a second, that puts the Vikings up top in the NFC. So I think that's something to say for them. They're going in with the number one seed if the playoffs were to start today.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that, and John, you might have more to say about this too, but Justin Jefferson is really like the X factor for them. In addition to, just having pretty much only like one game where he was a non-factor. I forget, who that was against, but he has been just balling out this season, and it's pretty incredible, to see. I think last year was Jamar Chase, and this year it's JJ's turn to go off. So
Right, Jay Jetta said from the beginning, like he wants to make this his year, and like we've seen him just destroy defenses. The only game I where he was pretty much covered up was against the Eagles, and then but essentially he's just reading defenses, finding the weak spot, giving an open lane to Kirk Cousins, and then when it's time to be clutch, that man is there. That man's ready. He's incredible, acrobatic. Justin Jefferson's here to play, and he's here to stay for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I said, while we're on the topic of the Eagles, let's go ahead and move to that. So the Eagles versus the Commanders from Monday Night Football. What the hell happened here?
So we were just talking about Josh Allen fumbling the bag. This is the entire Eagles team fumbling the bag. I mean, aside from a couple of injuries, plenty of mistakes all around. This should have been the easiest game for the Eagles in coming weeks, considering their defense is still on a high point. Their offense did take a couple of hits. AJ Brown had to leave early on. I think he tweaked his ankle, and then Dallas Goedert got hurt in the game as well. But aside from that, you have one of the strongest run games in the league. And in addition to that, you have your mobile quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who's just a complete X factor in his own because he just brings so much to the offense. I was quite shocked that the mistakes that they've made and whatnot in that game led to the Commanders to take over.
yeah, and I think also, you can't discount the that call late in the game of roughing the passer against Heineke. I think, obviously you don't want to put yourself in a position where a turnover, or not a turnover, an issue like that, a penalty like that, can be the make or break for the game. Obviously, I think Philadelphia should have been blowing Washington out of the water, but at that point too, I think that call definitely, and I don't know what you guys think about that, but it's like if you breathe on the quarterback the wrong way, then you're going to get a flag, tossed. And I think it was pretty obvious that Graham was not trying to hit, Heineke. And as a defensive lineman, how do you know that the quarterback is going to take a knee, like that,
Well,
and then
the thing about that, because I'm on the same boat as you. I hate these roughing the passer calls that are unnecessary. I mean, I'm still complaining about that one that happened with Tom Brady versus the Falcons early in the season that cost the Falcons the game. I'm still sad about that one. But this one I actually do think is a good call because Heineke went on the Pat McAfee show the other day and he mapped it out. Whenever he took a knee, went down on both knees, not even just when he like just flopped down on both knees. The defender was about 6 yards away, so he had time to stop, and he didn't. Now, I don't think it was necessarily a rough hit, but the rules are the rules, and if the quarterback is down and you could have stopped and you don't, that's a roughing the passer call. I don't think it was rough, but given how the rules are right now, which is if you touch them after they're down, then I mean, that's just kind of how it is. But that is interesting to talk about because that's been, I feel like, a big piece of a lot of games this season is like bad calls by the refs. I mean, there's been so many roughing the passer calls, especially there was some in the Chiefs Raiders game that was early in the season. Like I said, the Brady Falcons game where the Brady just did not play well, but still ended up beating the Falcons. But that's been a thing all season, and I don't really know what the solution is because you can't just make everything reviewable because then games are going to take 7 hours because every single call is going to be reviewed. But you also need to have some kind of contingency in there for when these things do happen. Now, this one I think is a little bit of a different situation. This is more of a, I think, revision of the rule because I mean Heineke was down and the guy hit him, but I do agree it wasn't really a rough hit. So it's like I don't. I mean, Heineke wasn't going to get hurt from that. But when it comes to all the other stuff, just because that's been a thing all season with many different games, I think it's worth mentioning that I don't really know what needs to be done, but I don't want to sit here and complain about it too much myself because I don't have a solution. I don't want to say it's wrong, but I don't know how to fix it. But that was definitely a big thing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with this game was Taylor Heineke. Do you think he's the starting quarterback going forward for the future of the Commanders?
Yeah, definitely. I think that Ron Rivera said that a healthy Carson Wentz does not necessarily get the starting job back. And, with how well Heineke's been performing and with his chemistry with the team, how all the players on not only the offense but the defense seem to look up to him. I think that he's your starting quarterback at least, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, unless something, drastic happens with his play. But I would say that he's at least the starting quarterback for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
And especially considering like the type of defense that they were going up against, arguably the Eagles have a pretty solid defense. Washington's offense was electric. I mean, they were he had McLaurin out there, Jahan Dotson making crazy catches, Taylor Heineke with a run here and there. The whole offense looked pretty explosive, and something that I assume that the Eagles just overlooked completely. Heineke's the guy if you look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Brian Robinson was also a big part of that. I think, having some huge runs, making short yardage, third down situations that were more manageable, and that's really what Washington's been trying to do this season. So.
yeah. Well, the thing that I think about it is I've seen a lot of these professional sports commentators like ourselves, professionals, very established and well respected in the industry, talk about like Heineke has won a game, but it's like his passer rating was like 44 or something like that. He's got a lot of turnovers. He's not throwing the balls accurately. It doesn't matter if he's winning the game. That's what matters is he win the game. Doesn't matter how sloppy the play is. Obviously, if you're sloppy, you want to clean it up. You want to play the best you can. But if you're winning a game, then who cares if that's maybe because you made some bad throws, but if you made some really good throws to win the game, it's like, yeah, you may have thrown, three incompletions in a row, but then you throw one 80-yard bomb to Terry McLaurin and get a touchdown, something like that. It's like, it's not as black and white as like how good does one player play. And like you said earlier, Heineke's got the team chemistry. Everyone on that team loves Heineke, and I think that's more effective than a quarterback like Carson Wentz, who may be slightly better objectively when it comes to like the turnovers, the touchdown ratio, and the completion percentage and the passer rating. If you got Heineke and everyone loves the guy versus Carson Wentz, who people maybe don't like and respect as much in the locker room, that's enough to if that's enough to beat the only undefeated team left in the NFL, then I think that's what you need to roll with for the foreseeable future. Until he starts losing games, then I mean, I say keep him in. And the Commanders have been kind of hot lately. I mean, it's not like they're in playoff contention right now or anything, but they're right there. I mean, I was looking at it earlier today. I was looking at how the playoffs stand up right now. All of the AFC East is in the playoffs right now. You got the Dolphins leading the division, then you got the Bills, Jets, and Patriots in the wild cards. The NFC East is nearly the same way. You got the Eagles in first, then you got the Giants with the fifth seed, Cowboys with the sixth seed, and the seventh seed. The Washington Commanders are tied with 5 wins for that seed. So if they win next week, and the person they're tied with, I think it's the Niners, lose their game, then they're in the seventh seed of the playoffs as well. So they're coming back a little bit, just kind of like how the Bears have been on a little bit of a comeback lately. The Commanders are doing the same thing, and it's not solely up to Taylor Heineke to do that. You got the defense, you got the play calling, but I think he's been a huge part of that because I feel like people in the locker room are more motivated to go out there and win when they know they got a guy like Heineke that they really love and respect coming in. And speaking of that, is Chase Young's also coming back, and I think that's one of the guys on the team that big impact player, and he very much so respects Heineke. I don't know if you remember the playoff game a couple years ago against Tampa Bay. Heineke had three defenders on him, dives for the pylon, gets the touchdown. Chase Young is hyping him up. They have great chemistry. Chase Young, massive piece of that defense. He's coming back, and if they're 5-5 right now without Chase Young, imagine what they're going to do when he comes back, especially if they keep up what they've been doing the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I think he gives a huge boost, obviously, to that defensive line. Just being able to rotate him in, and obviously the amazing player that he is. And I'm a little biased, since I'm an Ohio State fan and he's a big Ohio State alum. But yeah, I think that he provides immeasurable value, there. And I think that it will also make things a lot easier on the rest of the team, just having him there, the leadership that he provides and that X factor that he provides on the defense, because the defense for the Commanders doesn't really have that X factor right now, or anyone that I would say is that X factor right now. I don't know if you guys would disagree, but I think that Chase Young coming back provides that, and provides that pretty big morale boost that they need. So.
I think it does 100% because at the very least, even if he's not getting sacks every game, he's taking a lot of the pressure off of other defensive players because they're going to put a lot of focus on Chase Young because he is the stud that he is. And then there's gaps for the other defensive linemen and some of the other edges. So I think that him being back is huge, whether it means that he gets 4 sacks a game or zero. I think that him being back is just an impact player. Like I said, he's big, he's intimidating. Like taking that pressure off of other people is big, and especially with the offense rolling the way it has been the past couple weeks. I think the Commanders could go on a little run here, winning the next couple of games if they keep it up and Chase Young comes back and he is effective like he was 2 years ago.
Right, and then let's look at the next couple of games for the Commanders: Houston, Atlanta, and Giants. Chase Young is definitely going to make an impact on those two games. He's going to be a key factor in whether or not Washington steps up and makes that playoff spot. In addition to that, you got the Giants game, Week 13. That's going to be an awesome game on both ends, just because both teams are going to continue to fight for a better position in their own division and see if they could seal the deal in that aspect. So yeah, Chase Young is just an absolute beast. He's going to tear up. He's going to be probably a hot pass rusher for the next couple of weeks. And in addition to that, he's going to be a key player, key factor in everything that we got going on there.
Yeah, especially that Giants game. I mean, it's one of those things. You look at the records, you look at the overall stats. You think, okay, Giants obviously got this. I like the Giants. I'm a big Giants fan. I like Danny Dimes, I should say. Danny Dimes throws these dimes, catch dimes, run absolute monster runs across the field. Fastest run of any player. I think it was 2 years ago whenever he ran and then tripped on the field on face planted. That was fastest run in NFL the past couple of years at that point. But it's a divisional game, and that's completely different. Whenever it's a divisional game, it doesn't matter what your record is. Anything could happen, as we saw last night, or as we saw 2 nights ago with the Washington Eagles game. Because the way coaches go into those two games is you play this team twice a year, every year. That's never going to change. So you want to study up on that team more than anyone else, because if you can figure out that team, you have 2 wins every year. And that's amazing to have if you can get yourself 2 locked wins. But the problem is both teams are doing that. So the Giants and the Commanders are going to go into that game very well studied on each other. So you can expect a lot of defensive turnovers, I feel like, because both those offenses are kind of, they've been doing well, but you can't really figure out why. I mean, you've got Heineke, who's a guy. You got McLaurin, who's a guy, but no one on there that's like a Justin Jefferson type or a Derrick Henry type that's like, okay, feed that guy the ball and you're going to win. Same thing with the Giants. I mean, you got Saquon Barkley who's been back, but there's been a few games throughout the season where Saquon hasn't really been able to get going because he has these weird like out routes and needs some holes in the middle to get going. And I don't think that's going to happen against the Commanders because they know what's coming from Saquon Barkley. And so you're going to rely on Daniel Jones to pass a little bit more. He doesn't really have any good receivers. They kind of traded him all away or they're hurt. So he might be throwing a couple interceptions. So that's a game that's winnable. As much as I like the Giants and I think that they probably will win it, I'm never going to count the Commanders out in a divisional game just because the dynamic there is so much different.
Yeah, well, I would totally agree with that. And Gian, I think that you were trying to say something, so I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I mean, Giants are scrappy, Washington's scrappy. Both defenses have been hit or miss lately. Giants actually, their defense has been pretty solid, so it's going to be interesting to see how they pair up with Washington's offense. Washington's Defense, on the other hand, hasn't been as amazing. But hey, with Chase Young, he's going to step it up there. It's going to be definitely a scrap fest. I'm guessing it's going to be a shootout. That's a couple weeks from now. So we'll see when it gets there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Now let's move on to the Rams because man, what a fall from grace. I've got a picture of Cooper Kupp here, injured. And I wanted to highlight this specifically because I'm angry about it. Because I have Cooper Kupp in fantasy. He is my first round draft pick. And the fact that he is down and going to get surgery makes me angry. I've been doing meh in fantasy this year. I had a fantastic draft, and then everyone got hurt. I had yeah, I'll just tell you my best players at one point, and everyone listening is like, "Wow, you should have won your league. This is a 10-man league," and Frank and Gian can verify this is a 10-man league. I had Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp, Javonte Williams, Brees Hall, Michael Thomas, Cooper Kupp. I already said that, but I want to emphasize Cooper Kupp. All those players have gotten hurt and gone out. I'll say DeAndre Swift. He's been hurt. He had one good game and then has been horrible since then. I was gonna win the league. There's no chance I didn't. I had Dallas Goedert as well at one point. Traded him away to Gian. I had a stacked team, and then this happens, and now I'm losing because everyone's been injured. Cooper Kupp was my last hope. I've been able to pick up some good guys off free waivers like Jeff Wilson. I picked him up. He's been doing good in Miami. I'm sure Gion's happy about that. But I'm losing now because of Cooper Kupp. So let's talk about this. The Rams were the Super Bowl champions last year. They are the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions of the world. And what the hell has happened with them? Cooper Kupp's down right now. Matt Stafford's down right now. Even then, though, they've been playing horribly all year. So what do you guys think is happening with the Rams right now?
That's a great question. It's an entire organizational mess right now. I think everywhere from the defense, from that defensive line, the only real bright spot is Aaron Donald. To the offense, losing three of their starting offensive linemen, losing Matt Stafford. Both of their speaking of fantasy, I drafted Cam Akers, I think, in the second or third round, which was a huge mistake. Both of their running backs have been doing nothing this year, and that really hasn't helped in the passing game. And Cooper Kupp, I think one of the reasons that he is injured is because he's been carrying that team on his back the entire season because no one else has been stepping up. So.
Right, and then in addition to that, like you said, the O line hasn't been able to step it up. They haven't been able to establish any run game on the ground whatsoever, just to even get chunk yardage. Um, there has been no chemistry established between Allen Robinson at all with Matt Stafford because Allen Robinson supposedly this absolute stud. We got him from Chicago, come over here. He's gonna be great, dude. Even as a deep threat, and Matt Stafford with the killer arm that he has, just hasn't been able to use him. Van Jefferson's been kind of silent. He's been hurt. Skoranek hasn't been able to step it up. Uh, and honestly, just overall, Sean McVay can only do so much as a coach as well to try to get these players to mesh. And then I think a lot of teams have kind of figured out how to contain the Rams as well. I mean, you have Cooper Kupp in the slot, and then all right, well, just keep it short, make sure he doesn't break out, and then keep him contained. And if you're able to contain Cooper Kupp and contain the amount of yards you can go, well, then, and you know that Matt Stafford isn't throwing dimes to anyone else. I mean, it's quite simple thing to figure out. And if they can't get chunk yards on the ground, yeah, dude, the Rams just absolute fall from grace. I do want to say there is a glimmer of hope, at least in the running game. I think this rookie Kyron Williams, Sean McVay's been talking him up, and he's just coming off of IR, so he's going to be here for the New Orleans game. So we're waiting to see how that goes. But honestly, we gotta wait and see because this Rams team just looks awful, completely different from what they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think if that rookie, Kyron Williams does come out, I don't really, and hopefully, for LA's sake, he proves me wrong, but I don't think that you see a rookie running back coming out with as garbage of an offensive line that they have, really doing anything worth writing home about. I think that it'll be another Cam Akers Daryl Henderson type of deal, and hopefully not. Hopefully he's able to help them out and give them that boost that they need to open up passing and make defenses really actually consider their run game as something that's even potentially a threat. But yeah, I don't see it really going
And
too
that's the
far.
thing about this whole Rams team is last year they had a great offensive line. You had Matt Stafford, veteran quarterback, played great. He had a good bit of turnovers, but he was scoring enough that it didn't really matter how many turnovers he had. He was outscoring himself by I think 3 touchdowns per turnover. Um, and yeah, the formula was throw to Cup, get him some space, and you're good. But they had Odell Beckham Jr. at one point throughout last season, so he kind of had that to take some pressure off. If Cooper Cup was getting double covered, throw to Odell Beckham Jr. And then I thought Allen Robinson was going to be an upgrade from Odell Beckham Jr. because Allen Robinson's a bit younger. He has a full season to play, not just part of it. Like you said, he's the stud from Chicago, like top 10 and skill wide receiver. He just had horrible quarterback play. And I bought into that. I was like, you know what, Allen Robinson, he's going to have a great year. And LA. I didn't think it was going to be, wide receiver one category just because he still got Cooper Cup. He's going to take a lot of those targets, but he's done nothing. And it made me weary of drafting Cooper Cup in fantasy at the beginning of the year, too, because I was like, well, if Allen Robinson's coming in there and he's going to take, 6 or 7 targets a game, that's taken away from Cooper Cup, and he's only going to get, maybe 6 or 7 targets a game. And it's going to be back to a Robert Woods, Cooper Cup type situation where they're each getting about 1,000 yards, but no one's really going off. And then Allen Robinson just has not gotten the ball. Cooper Cup has, and I've like that because I've had him in fantasy. But now that he's down, it's like, what do you do now? Because you haven't spent the time building this chemistry with Allen Robinson, with Vaughn Jefferson, with anyone else. Tyler Higbee's still a reliable tight end. He can get you a few catches a game for 40, 50 yards, but he's not someone who's going to fill Cooper Cup's shoes. And at this point, I don't think Allen Robinson can either, just because they haven't built any chemistry. And then you do have Matt Stafford as you got what, John Wolford in there playing. Like, come on. I mean, that's just. I understand you can't help injuries, but the Rams didn't play good before this anyway, and they're especially not going to play good now. I don't even think they have a chance at the playoffs unless Cooper Cup and Matt Stafford are able to come back in enough time to make an impact this season. But yeah, I think the O-line is the biggest thing. They can't establish a run game. They're not giving Matt Stafford time in the pocket. And when you have none of those things, you can't give Cooper Cup the ball. I think the offense needs to be focused around Cooper Cup because he is a fantastic wide receiver, arguably the best in the league, had the best season ever last season. You need to get time in the pocket for Matt Stafford to make a good throw to him or take some of the pressure off by getting a run going. And they're doing none of those things. So it's just a bad situation for the Rams. I don't know what this means next year. I think they need to go out and make a move on some offensive linemen, maybe get a decent running back, but I don't know. It seems like this season is just about over for the Rams.
Yeah, I think they sold their soul last year for that championship, just trading away a lot of, key things or, signing a lot of people that didn't give them a lot of room this year to improve at all or to counterbalance, what they lost. So,
Right, and then on top of that, let's Rams don't have any picks in the coming drafts. They have almost nothing. They spent a lot of money on a 1 year deal with OBJ. OBJ is obviously out. Bobby Trees offered a little bit of dynamicism with his team. Bobby Trees is no longer with them, and it's curious to see what's next for the Rams, especially defensively as well. I mean, they've just been getting smacked around like it's nobody's business. And then you still have Aaron Donald there. He's fantastic. You still have Jalen Ramsey, but really, if the offense can't do it, if you have a stellar defense, they need to step it up too, man. Because I understand they're getting a lot. The defense is probably getting a lot of time on the field and all that, but they need to be the defense that helps protect the offense as well.
Yeah, when you got studs like Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald on that team, they should be making more of an impact. They've been allowing a lot of points this season. There's been some games that they don't allow too many, but overall they've allowed a lot of points compared to some of these other defenses. And that was what before Cooper Cup had a season last year was what won the Rams games. It's like, hey, you got Jared Goff who's going to score a couple touchdowns maybe, but we have a defense that's not going to allow any touchdowns or maybe one touchdown, and so you're winning games on that. And now the defense is just not holding up, and that's the other big piece of this is like defense wins championships. If you don't have a good defense, yeah, you can go to a shootout every week, but you're not going to win every shootout every week. You need a defense that's going to hold them down to some points, so that way your offense can get rolling, get some time on the field, get some chemistry going, and that's just not happening either. But moving on, because talking about chemistry, I want to move on to Green Bay because They won against the Cowboys, but it seems like their chemistry has been what's off this whole season. Aaron Rodgers has constantly talked about his receivers being young and making stupid mistakes, making mental errors, things like that. But they just beat the Cowboys in prime time, and the Cowboys were one of the best teams in the NFC, top five overall, I think, on most ESPN and NFL sports pages. They're like, "Oh, Cowboys top few. They're going to go to the NFC Championship game." They got beat by the Packers, who have played horribly this week. So, what do you guys think about what's going on with the Packers right now?
Well, Christian Dropson has turned into Christian Watson. I mean, honestly, earlier in the season, the rookie had a lot of drops, a lot of easy tutties that would have been straight to the house. But now it looks like he's finally got pulled himself together, build that rapport with Aaron Rodgers. He was slicing and dicing up that defense at 3 touchdowns, over 100 yards. What a fantastic game for Christian Watson. And I think now the team's finally getting that confidence, getting to know their quarterback, getting to know how he plays and whatnot. Because arguably Aaron Rodgers is a very intelligent quarterback and he knows what he's doing. He's got a good arm. He knows how to read defenses and whatnot, and what the best player is. So with keeping that in mind, if you could finally get your rookies up to speed with all that knowledge and all that experience that you got and finally mesh, you're slated for greatness. And honestly, it looks like Green Bay is going to make a turnaround. I mean, you have a great run game, pretty solid O line, pretty solid defense. All it really took is for like the receivers to finally get in line, and it looked like that this week against the Cowboys, who arguably have a really solid defense. I mean, the Cowboys' defense isn't something to mess with, and this ended up being a pretty high scoring game on both ends. Um, but another thing to consider, although great for Green Bay, I do want to say bad play calling on the Cowboys end of things, especially at the end. At the end there, it was they absolutely choked, and I would argue that had the play calling been differently, we could probably be talking about this game differently.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead, Frank.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I think that that's a good point. I mean, the play calling was one issue, and that's a thing that can affect every game. Is good or bad play calling. It's kind of like that Bills Vikings game where it's like one thing could have gone differently. That game would have been talked about a lot differently. But nonetheless, the Packers won. Like you said, Christian Watson, 3 tuds over 100 plus yards. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. Aaron Rodgers feels like he's back. They beat a big team. They beat their old coach, Big Mike McCarthy. There, it's just I don't really know where it goes from here. I mean, I don't see the Packers making a full comeback and taking a stand in the NFC. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I don't see someone like Christian Watson stepping up and having that kind of game happening every week. The Cowboys, I think, are going to be fine. They lost this game, but I think they'll be fine. I mean, Dak Prescott plays fine. They got an amazing run game. They got some defensive studs in Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, but I don't think it was just kind of an off week. Personally, I think it was an off week, and the Packers played well, and the Cowboys didn't. I think it was the opposite of what's usual for both of those teams.
Yeah. No, especially I think you bringing up Mike Parsons is a good point. A lot of people are thinking that he's going to be MVP this year, and for Green Bay to do what they did against him, I think is pretty huge. But yeah, really, like I think opening up the pass game, like they did, will make things a lot easier for Aaron Jones and company in the backfield to really get some big chunks of yardage, and that will help the passing game even more. But I agree with you, Ethan. I don't really see them overcoming the deficit and the hole that they've dug themselves into to get ahead of the streaking Bears, with Justin Fields or with the Vikings. So
Yeah, I definitely don't think they're getting a win in their division. And NFC North is going to be the Vikings, unless they just go on a losing streak here, which I don't see happening. But the Packers could fight for a wild card spot. Like I said earlier, right now we have the Giants, Cowboys, Niners, and Commanders, roughly kind of in that bubble. I think the Niners, this is like we could talk about a little bit later when we go into our playoff predictions, but I think the Niners are going to probably win the division. I think that they're just stacked right now. So that moves the Seahawks down to the wild card spot, and then it's like, are the Packers better than the Seahawks in terms of their record going into these last few weeks of the season? So it's like, I don't know. The Seahawks have been balling this year, and I don't see the Packers picking it up and doing better than them. Same thing with the Cowboys and the Giants. They have to do better than one of those, few teams by a few game win this last little stretch of the NFL season. So I don't see it happening. I think they'll come close. I think they'll get a few more wins this season and they'll finish, I don't know, maybe 7 wins, 8 wins, but I don't see them getting a wild card spot at this point, and they're definitely not going to win their division. Unfortunately for the back-to-back reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers, he's just I don't know what he does after this either. I mean, he signed an extension in Green Bay, but I don't think Green Bay is where he's going to go win another championship at this point. They traded away Devontae Adams, and they've been horrible since then. They are relying too much on rookie receivers. Their run game is still great. They got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, but they can't get that going because they have no one to pass to. They need to do a healthy balance of passing and running so the defense never knows what to expect, and they can't do that right now. They got Allen Lazard, who's been a decent player this year. I've got him on one of my fantasy teams, and he's getting me a consistent, 12, 15 points a game, but that's not going to fill Devontae Adams' shoes. So, this is my opinion. I don't know if you disagree, Gian. You've been a little quiet about this. I don't know if you think that maybe the Packers do make a comeback and go on a little playoff run, but
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think they'll. It's actually kind of tough considering you have the Commanders and Seahawks and Giants there. If the Packers really pull themselves together, maybe they could. It would be difficult. I'm not. There's no guarantee in that. But no, you're absolutely right in that the loss of Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, phenomenal route runner, easily one of the top five wide receivers in the NFL right now. Huge loss to Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. You just don't have that one player that's just able to cut through defenses like Devontae did, and then honestly, it's a lot. When you think about it, it's a lot for these rookies, Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, etc. to fill in. Those shoes are pretty big, and honestly, although their chemistry is getting better, it's not going to be to the same degree or the same level that Green Bay was last year.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I think we're all kind of on the same page with that. So let's go to one of their divisional rivals, the Bears. They have had a incredible stretch the last couple of weeks. Justin Fields has been an absolute freak the last few weeks, and we have to talk about it. The Bears, unfortunately, have been losing games still, but Justin Fields, I think, what did he set the rushing record for a quarterback of all time for the NFL? Most rushing yards in a game. His first game where they've really let him break loose. Absolutely insane. We were just talking about this before we started recording. Mike McDaniel's asking him to please stop running in the middle of the game because he's just unstoppable. I mean, I think Justin Fields is one of those guys that a lot of people have said, just give him time, and he'll be good. And I'll be honest, I didn't believe in Justin Fields. I was like, he's not going to be good at Chicago as much as Justin Fields has potential at Chicago. He's not going to do good. He might be as good as Mitch Trubisky, but he's not going to be any better. But, I mean, he's proven people wrong right now with as many yards as he's getting rushing, touchdowns. I mean, he's very elusive, very quick. But one thing I did want to throw in here, just a fun statistic for the Bears. They've scored 29-plus points in the last 3 weeks and lost every single one of those games. So their defense has given up 30-plus points in every game the past 3 weeks. So the offense has been absolutely going off, but their defense is really what I feel like is holding them back at this point. Because if they're giving up over 30 points every single game, I mean, come on, dude. That's just you can't expect an offense to score that many points every game. But Justin Fields, let's talk about him.
Yeah, definitely. The Ohio boy from Georgia, but the big OH. Yeah, he is that guy. I think that you've really seen the play calling open up to more what his strengths are rather than trying to force him into a mold that he doesn't necessarily fit into. I think they've also been trying to get the offense to be a little better, and you saw that with the addition of Chase Claypool. I think that the receivers do need to step up a little bit. Darnell Mooney, I would like to see kind of take that next step, making it a little bit easier for Fields to run and, do his thing. As well as, the backfield not really been amazing other than Justin Fields rushing. I think the running backs need to step it up a little bit, but yeah, Justin Fields is that guy.
Yeah, I think it's
Right,
interesting.
and
Actually, go ahead, Gian.
oh, yeah, I absolutely agree, and I'll be one to admit I thought Justin Fields was going to be an absolute flop and a bum, and I'll be one to admit he's just taken off, and his chemistry right now with the entire offense, Cole Kmet especially, who's really stepped up lately. Uh, just spectacular to see that the Bears are picking themselves up. They were slated to be the laughing stock prior to the season of the NFC North, and now they're showing off that they got weapons. If their defense could step up, that'd be great. I mean, they lost Khalil Mack to the Chargers in a trade, and so they don't have as much of a pass rush presence anymore. But still, I mean, the Bears are keeping it scrappy. They kept it tight between Miami. They kept it tight with the Lions. And both teams are pretty scrappy, and so
Well,
The Bears
the other thing
hyping
they
up and
did
what.
was trade away Roquan Smith, and that was a move that I did not understand because they traded him away, and I was like, okay, they're gonna tank, get some picks, go in next year. And then they trade for Chase Claypool, which is like Chase Claypool's not one of those guys that means you're going all in because you went and got him. But it's weird that you're spending capital to get a guy who's just meh. I mean, no disrespect to Chase Claypool, but he's not a wide receiver one who's going to get 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns any given season. Especially with the way that the Bears run their offense. But they traded for him and then got rid of Roquan Smith. And at this point, it's like if they kept Roquan Smith, would they be winning some of these games? Because their offense has been absolutely electric, but their defense has been giving up way too many points. And if they had Roquan Smith on that line making plays, would they be giving up? How many less points would they be giving up, and would it be enough to get them a couple wins? And I like I said earlier, and like you said, Gian, I thought he was going to be a flop, and I'm not going to say he's a guy now. It's only been a few weeks, but I'm definitely going to take back what I said about him being a bum. He's not a bum, but we'll see if he ends up being one of those top guys and a franchise quarterback for the Bears, or if he's just a guy that can fill the shoes for now. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy what he's done. I mean, setting the record for most rushing yards in a game by a quarterback is crazy. But I guess it also comes down to, for me personally, I'm not a big fan of mobile quarterbacks. That's not my type of play. Like whenever I look at a team and I'm like if I had to pick a team and start a franchise, I wouldn't pick a mobile quarterback. I think someone who can run a little bit, but I wouldn't pick someone like Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields who's rushing for 150 yards a game. I feel like you should have a good backfield, have a good O line, and have a good passing core, and then you can do anything. Because at that point, you have so many different skill groups on the field that can get stuff done that you're not relying on that one player. It's like Justin Fields is going off right now, but at some point, these defenses are going to realize that they're going to run Justin Fields down the field for about 200 yards every game, and they're going to stop him. And then you're risking your franchise quarterback getting hurt because whenever you're running that much, you're risking injury. And fortunately, for guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, that hasn't really been a factor. Josh Allen recently got hurt, but it's not anything too serious. And Justin Fields hasn't gotten hurt yet. Now there's Lamar Jackson, but that's something that you always risk when it comes to that. I prefer some style like I hate to say Patrick Mahomes because that feels like a cop out answer, but he is an amazing thrower and he is a little bit mobile. He's mobile enough to get a few yards if he needs to. He can get a rushing touchdown if he needs to. He can be elusive, but I'm just not a big fan of the mobile quarterback style. But of course, that's just my opinion. But either way, I have to put my respect for Justin Fields' name and give him my props for how well he's been playing the last few weeks, despite the fact that they've lost all these games.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Justin Fields has really stepped it up. Bears overall, although it doesn't look like they'll be making the playoffs anytime soon or uh, overachieve anything. They've been keeping everything pretty nice and tight with other teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team develops over the next year or so, or the rest of the season, and how their offense develops and that chemistry. Because I mean, you still got Darnell Mooney lightning fast. And then, like you said, Claypool's not a game changer. Well, at least wasn't for Pittsburgh. Maybe here he'll see something different. So it's going to be interesting to see where this team goes next. And then maybe see if they amp their defense up because I believe they had a decent defense way back in the day. So let's see what the Bears have in store for us later on.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely a team we're going to keep our eyes on. But I would like to move on to my favorite story we're going to talk about this week: the front runner for Coach of the Year, Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday is an absolute monster. I love Jeff Saturday. Fantastic player. He gets called up to coach the Colts after never coaching pro football before. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to play. If I do bad, okay, kick me out. But I'm just going to go there, do my best. Had this whole speech. Everyone loved it. Some people are like, yeah, it's Jeff Saturday. Like, yeah, it's a feel good story, but no one's really gonna get behind him. He has no experience. And then they go and beat the Raiders. And what I've been saying the Colts need to do this whole season, Jeff Saturday is doing with the Colts. It's keep Matt Ryan in because Matt Ryan is a great veteran quarterback, but he can't throw the ball 60 times per game like Frank Reich was making him do. You've got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, arguably the best running back in the league whenever he's healthy. Feed him the ball and then make Matt Ryan throw, let's say, 20, 25 times a game to get those third and longs, get a couple of short, slant routes maybe, but you need to primarily focus on Jonathan Taylor and have Matt Ryan as that game manager that can throw the ball when needed. And that's exactly what Jeff Saturday did. And now they have won a game. Jeff Saturday's first game as a NFL coach, he's won, and it was a fantastic game versus the Raiders. The Raiders, it's not like they're one of the best teams in the NFL or anything, so it wasn't necessarily an impressive win, but I think that what he showed is that he knows the formula to make the Colts offense successful, and as long as he keeps doing that, I think the Colts will be fine this year.
Yeah, I think his whole story is pretty interesting. I think that he was brought or he was asked, I think, four different times to be, some sort of like personnel on the team, and he cited like for personal reasons he wasn't interested in doing it. It just didn't sync up with, how much time he wanted to spend with his family, stuff like that. And then at the beginning of this season, he was brought on as like a remote personnel you know, type person, and then they got him as the head coach, which is interesting because it makes you wonder how long were they considering, replacing Frank Reich? Was Jeff Saturday always in that mix, or was this just something that Jim Irsay was like, last minute, need someone to be a scapegoat for, how this season's going, so going to put in, someone who has absolutely no experience, even as coaching, in the NFL as our head coach, and see where that goes. And then that way he can't be really held accountable for how the season goes or whatever. But yeah, it's just an interesting all around story for sure. So.
Well, I think this is how I think it went down. Jim Irsay, a little bit of it, because all right, we need to get ourselves a coach in here that's going to change the game of things. We need to change up the scheme, change up run the thing, change up the quarterback, change up everything. And so he's like, let's go get a coach that's never touched an NFL field. And he even talked about it in the press conference. He's like, well, he's got no NFL experience, but I like that. That means he's not going to be intimidated. He doesn't know what to be afraid of. No one knows what to be afraid of with him. And I don't know if this is just a facade by Jim Irsay, but I think that Jim Irsay really believed in Jeff Saturday. I mean, as much as he was involved with the Colts, beforehand as a some sort of coaching role, they could have picked anyone. They could have picked offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, some kind of assistant, anyone to take over this team. And they picked Jeff Saturday because I think they saw something in him. And whether it's that they liked that he had no experience or it was something else, I think he's a leader. I mean, he's playing on the NFL field on an offensive line for as long as he did, and being one of the greats, I think, gives you a lot of respect from other players because you know that your coach knows what you're going through. You know that your coach knows how an offense runs and how a defense runs and things like that. So I think that Jeff Saturday kind of just has, a lot of respect, I would imagine, in that locker room, just having been one of the guys not that many years ago. I think that kind of gives him a leg up when it comes to coaching. And like I said, he's done fantastic. I mean, I like the Colts, so seeing him run that team well makes me happy. I think Jeff Saturday is going to be here to stay for at least the rest of the season. I mean, even if he starts losing games again, it's like it's not any worse than what Frank Reich was doing. So let's keep him in, see how he does a full season, and then, if he ends up being horrible, we can just move on from there.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
For sure. Awesome. So the other thing that I think was kind of an interesting story, obviously, like I said, I was super excited to talk about Jeff Saturday, was the stuff going on with Odell Beckham Jr. So there's always news going on with this guy. It seems like he's always in the news for something, whether it's crazy comments or what team he's going to sign with. But I've got a little thing up here, a thing that he tweeted the other day, and it's just this big post talking about his deal with Nike and how Nike didn't hold up their end, how he was so excited because his dream as a kid was to get a deal with Nike, and he got that, and then they kind of didn't hold up their end of the deal, I guess. So, two parts of this thing. One, I want to talk about where you think Odell will go, and then I want to talk about how you think this will affect that, because we've seen before that some teams do and some teams don't care about drama off the field and how that affects play style. Antonio Brown's a prime example of like a lot of people didn't want him on the team, even though he's an absolute stud because he has so much off the field drama. And Odell Beckham Jr. seems to be fitting into that similar type role, although cannot say Odell's as good as Antonio Brown was at each of their respective peaks. I mean, Antonio Brown was an absolute monster for years, and Odell Beckham had a few good seasons, but he was never to that level. So, I mean, I think going into a few days ago, it was the Packers, the Cowboys, and the Bills that were some of those top few teams. The Rams were in there a little bit, but I don't know if you really want to go back to now that they are doing horrible and they've lost a lot of players. But I think the Bills, Packers, and Cowboys are the front runners. I think Cowboys and Packers are probably number 1 and 2. But I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this affects it at all, and where do you think he's going?
Yeah, I don't see him going to the Cowboys. I know that has been a topic of conversation for a while, but I just don't see him going to the Cowboys with his history with New York. I think that would kind of taint his legacy a little bit, and I think that he would be a little bit of a better fit. Just if not for the fact that the Cowboys have so many receivers already, in that wide receiver room. To add, it would certainly be beneficial to them, I think, but I don't think they'll be adding him. I think my money is on him going to the Packers. He lost to the Packers a few times in the playoffs, and I could see him joining forces with Aaron Rodgers and really doing something good there. We were talking before about the Packers and how can they make maybe that wild card spot. And I think if they go out and they get Odell, that gives Aaron Rodgers that guy, veteran who knows, how to play, who's been there, done that, was a Super Bowl champion, last year. And he can help young players out. I think he's a lot of times misrepresented, from where he was kind of in his younger days as more of a hothead. To now, I think he could be kind of that mature leader in the wide receiver room, at least. So, yeah, I don't know what you think about that, Gian. But...
Yeah, a bit of a hot take. I actually don't think Odell will be going anywhere. And this deal and just Odell as overall, I personally see Odell as a diva, but to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Odell is a phenomenal receiver, great skill player, etc. I just think a combination of both age, his personality, and multiple injuries to his ACL, and then just recently in the last Super Bowl, he managed to tweak it again. I don't think that he'll be going anywhere. I mean, there was rumors that he was going to the Vikings, rumors that he might be going to the Cowboys, but seeing that many, because we've had these rumors throughout the year, throughout the season, seeing these rumors throughout the season and nothing really coming concrete, I don't think he's getting anywhere. I don't think teams really want or need him at the moment, especially with cap space. Maybe that'll change later on down the stretch. If we have a playoff team that is short a receiver, then maybe it's something else. But honestly, I don't see Odell going anywhere. But again, credit to where credit's due. He's a great player. I wish him the best of health and everything, but yeah, I don't think he's cut out to be on a team anymore.
Well, the thing about it is I kind of agree with you. A part of me thinks that he's not going to get signed at all. One, like you said, his injuries are obviously a factor. His age is obviously a factor, but the off the field drama stuff, like you said, he's a bit of a diva. I mean, he's matured a lot since his younger days where he was beefing with the Panthers, fighting on the field with some of those players. But this whole thing with Nike, I mean, I feel like that's a factor, honestly, just because the whole sports world, whether it be the playing side or the media side or the apparel side with Nike, I think they all intertwine and they all affect one another. And I think calling him out publicly like that, I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad move. I mean, if Odell got screwed, then he got screwed and he should, try to make up for it. But I think that teams will view that as I don't want to deal with that drama right now. I want a player who's going to come in here and make good clutch third down catches when I need him to. And if he's worrying about his deal with Nike, he's not going to be doing that. With that being said, if he's going anywhere, I think it'll either be the Packers or the Giants. I think that the Giants would be a great team to sign him. Aside from the fact that he's played there before, I think the Giants are missing a good receiver. They do not have a receiver right now, and they're winning games. It's just insane because their defense has been insane. Saquon Barkley's been great. Daniel Jones has been great. They've had some receivers like Slayton went off last week, but they really don't have a solid number one guy that you can reliably throw to. They've either traded him away, cut him, or they've gotten injured. So I think signing Odell Beckham Jr. for just a few catches a game whenever they need him to would be a great pickup for them. I think they'd win a few more games this season if they got him, and then the Packers obviously are in need of a wide receiver. They've got Lazard and they've got Christian. I guess at this point that is proving himself to be a good wide receiver, but I think that he'd be a good fit there. But I don't want to talk about this Odell stuff too much just because I don't know if it's worth giving the attention. I like to figure out what's going on with that Nike deal before I pick sides and who's right and who's wrong. So we'll go ahead and move on to our picks for Week 11. So the way this is going to work is we're just going to go through all the games for Week 11, starting with Thursday night all the way through Monday night, and we're going to give our picks. We're also going to give the spreads for each game, and we're going to give you whether or not we think that who's going to cover the spread. And we will have our predictions next week. We will give you what we say. We'll give you our totals. So if I win all of my predictions right, which is probably what's going to happen, I'll probably get all of my predictions right since I'm insane at this, then my record will be what it is up top, and same thing with Dion and Frank. So I'll go first. We got Green Bay at Tennessee. Spread is Tennessee +3. I'm looking at CBS's as spreads for this one. I don't want to drag these out, but I don't know why Green Bay is favored by 3 points. I understand they just came off a big win from the Cowboys, but I don't understand.
Yeah, and then the over under is at 41. For me, it seems to be way too low scoring of a game. Green Bay, Tennessee. This is an ugly one. This is going to be an ugly one, but
Hey, is someone
give
hurt that
me.
I like? Is Derrick Henry down or something, and I just don't know about it? Like, why are the Packers favored to win this game?
Well, I mean, Tennessee just does not have a secondary, but they have a good pass rush. They have a good front. They don't have a good back end. So I could see like maybe a deep threat. Just because of the combination of weapons, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers. I'm taking Green Bay the spread, and I'll take the yeah, I'll just take the spread. Green Bay -3.
Cool. I'm taking Titans +3. And I think the Titans have been sneakily good this year. And against the Packers who have been bums. And I hope the Packers come back because I like Aaron Rodgers as a guy. I'm not going to count on them to win by that many points. I mean, if they do win, let's hope it's by 1 point. But I'm taking Green Bay, or I'm taking Tennessee +3. What about you, Frank?
I will take Green Bay as well. I just don't see Malik Willis doing anything with the
Oh,
Titans.
I forgot Malik Willis is playing. Yeah, I take it back. Green Bay -3. Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot. I forgot that he
no.
played last week. I mean, actually, yeah, I'm gonna go and take Green Bay -3. I mean, Malik Willis didn't has not been playing well, but also they've won games with Malik Willis before, so it's like you don't really need him to play good because they got Derrick Henry. But yeah, Green Bay -3. If they ain't got anyone to throw, they'll just stop throwing. The Packers defense is good enough to do that. So now we're
Yeah.
going to
I,
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna move on to the Bears Falcons. Atlanta's favored by 3 points. Spread is Chicago +3, Falcons -3. What do you guys think?
I'm taking the Bears.
Bears
I
+3.
mean, the Bears have been pretty keeping games close. This could potentially be a shootout. That's probably why they have the point totals at over 55. Give me the Bears and give me the over. I mean, both defenses suck. No offense to them, but I mean they're not the absolute best. Bears have been keeping their games really close. They were off from Miami by less than like 4 points or something of the sort. And Miami's just not a team to mess with. So, yeah, no, give me the Bears. Give me the over on this one.
I'm taking Atlanta -3 as a Georgia native. I feel like I'm obligated to, so I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. I'm taking the Falcons -3. You know, we'll see. I'm not holding out hopes or anything because the Falcons are always disappointing, but yeah, I'm gonna take them. All right, moving on. Let's go to Cleveland at Buffalo. Let's see, Cleveland at Buffalo. What is the spread for that?
We got Buffalo -8 over under 43.
Okay, interesting. For whatever reason, my sheet has just cut off the Cleveland Buffalo game. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So would you say the spread was the Bills are favored by 8 points?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking Buffalo. That's easy.
Yeah, no,
Definitely.
I'd have to go with Buffalo on this one as well. I mean, Cleveland, yeah, you have Chubb, you have a great running game, and then, well, is David Njoku back? Do we know if Njoku's back? And
I
but
don't.
even then, I just feel like Buffalo's defense is just too much. I mean, they're gonna come off of 2 losses. They're gonna step it up. They're gonna cream Cleveland. They're gonna wipe Cleveland off the face of the map. I got Buffalo on this one.
And Joku is still questionable, so we won't know till game time. But yeah, I think either way, it's Buffalo. I think Josh Allen's gonna be pissed coming off that massive loss to the Vikings, and he's just gonna go off and just obliterate the Browns. I hate that it's an 8 point spread because that's a lot of points. I hate betting someone to win by that many points, but when it's Buffalo, I have to. What about you, Frank?
And I think that it's going to come down to whoever has the better running game, which makes me think that it could be a lot closer than that 8 point spread. But I'm unfortunately going to have to go against my boys in Ohio and take Buffalo. I just don't see Cleveland pulling it off. Nick Chubb is that guy, but uh, you know I just don't see him being able to do enough to get over the hurdle that is Josh Allen and that high powered offense. It is going to be snowing though, and it is going to be fairly cold. So just with that,
That
I'll
favors the
I'll do it.
Browns, I feel like, because the Browns got Nick Chubb as a rusher. The Bills don't have as good of a rushing game. Ooh, that's tough.
But you know what? You know what?
Yeah,
I,
that's
I'll,
a
I'll, I'll
little.
go against. I'll go against the grain. I'm switching my pick. I got the Browns. I
Got
got the
Browns
Browns.
+8. I want to switch too, but I'm not gonna be that guy that switches. So I'm gonna stick with Buffalo. I'll stick with
Sticking with
Buffalo.
my gut.
Yep.
Sticking with my.
All right, moving on
All
to
right.
the Eagles at the Colts. It is Philly -6.5. So, what do you guys think?
I don't see Philly losing this. This is Jalen Hurts' revenge tour for last week, so I think they cover.
Austin, what about GG on?
I'm not sure. Philly just lost. Dallas Goddard's pretty banged up. It doesn't seem like he's going to be playing anytime soon. Right now, he's listed as doubtful. Eagles have a great run game. Colts depends on whether or not they step it up. I'm not sure if this is going to be a shootout, and honestly, I could see this game going either way. Honestly, Jeff Saturday, the hype. Give me the under actually on this one.
What about for
Oof,
the for
actually,
the for the winner? Who do you think? Eagles or Colts?
winner. It's hard to go against the Eagles, so I'll stick with the Eagles. I'll take the spread as well. Eagles 6.5. No,
Austin.
no, I won't take the spread. I won't take the spread. I'll just take the under.
No, no, no. That's what we're betting on. That's what we're doing our picks on now. Is who's covering the
Okay.
spread? That's what we're competing
All right.
against each other for.
All right. All right. In that case, I'm taking Colts spread.
Awesome. Yeah, I already locked my pick in before I even asked you guys. I got Colts +6.5. I'm never gonna bet against my Colts. Just won't happen. I love them, and Jeff Saturday is the best coach in the NFL, so he's gonna bring them to a victory. Moving on to the Jets at The Patriots. The spread is New England by 3. Weird. I'm taking Jets plus 3. I think the Jets win outright, but my lock in is Jets plus 3. Unless once again there's an injury I don't know about, but I'm taking
Yeah,
Jets.
I agree with. I'll do the same. I'm picking the Jets. I think Garrett Wilson, again, another Ohio guy, is going to be that it factor in that game and show why he was worthy of a first round pick. So
Here's the thing. New England's defense has just been an absolute monstrosity these last couple weeks. And I believe they're coming off a bye. Yeah, no, I got New England all over this. They're gonna cover it and probably more. They're gonna shut down the Jets. They're gonna shut down Garrett Wilson, any run game, Zach Wilson, New England all the way. And
Awesome.
it's weird for me to say that as a Miami Dolphins fan, but
Uh,
hey,
I'm
look
glad
at
we
the New
disagree
England.
because that just gives me the opportunity to beat you this week if we when the Jets cover. Moving on to the Saints at the Rams. The Saints are favored by 4 points. I'm taking the Saints by 4 with the injuries that the Rams got. I got Saints by 4. That's not even a question. The offense has been absolutely electric. Andy the Red Rocket Dalton has been crazy. I've always been a fan of his. He's been playing very very well in New Orleans, so I'm taking the Saints minus 4.
I'll take the Saints as well, but I think there were some questions about what quarterback would be starting. I think I forget their coach's name, but he said that they would be given some consideration back to Jameis Winston. So I'll take the Saints though as well.
Yeah, even if Jameis plays or Dalton plays, I think the Saints got that game. I think they're both serviceable quarterbacks that can get the job done. What about you, Gian?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you too. I mean, Saints, Andy Dalton hasn't been too bad at all. Honestly, it's just a mistake here and there that's been costing them stuff. But they have weapons. Chris Olave, absolute stud of a rookie. Then you have Alvin Kamara there, uh, Marquez Callaway. Just they've got players, whereas the Rams don't right now. So you have to take the Saints on this one.
For sure. All right, moving on. Lions at Giants. The Giants are favored by 3 points. Giants minus 3. I'm taking that. Giants minus 3. Like that's easy for me at least. I hope you guys disagree, but let's hear it.
No, I think the Giants defense has been enough to stop, you know, other teams. If not, certainly they'll be able to stop the mess that is Detroit. So I will take the Giants as well.
Austin, what about you?
This this is a tricky one.
Does
Because
Detroit
there
get
are
another win this week? Do you think? Do you think Detroit? Think
because
Detroit pulls off a
because
W?
here's yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Although they lost Hawkinson, which I would argue dumb trade, but hey, is what it is. Detroit scores pretty high and just randomly. I mean, they did beat the Packers a couple weeks back, and although it wasn't a high scoring game, they still managed to beat the Packers, keep it close. Detroit doesn't have a bad offense, they just have a bad defense. I'm on the fence of this. I'll take Detroit and the over on this one.
You're taking Detroit at plus 3. Interesting. I'll lock it
Yeah.
in for you. I like that you disagreed with me. Once again, just an opportunity for me to get ahead. All right, Raiders at Broncos. Um, Broncos favored by 2.5 points. I mean, pretty tight spread. I don't really know where I'm going on this one yet, so I want to know what you guys say first. See what you guys can convince me of. I'm not
Uh,
sure.
I'll do my best Russell Wilson impression and say Broncos country, let's ride. I got the Broncos.
Broncos minus 2.
Uh,
Perfect.
I have absolutely no faith in the Broncos at all. They were completely overhyped. Too many primetime games that lulled me to sleep. They can't get anything together. Jerry Judy was hurt, and they lost. Then unfortunately lost Javonte Williams, absolute stud. I don't see the running game doing very well. Vegas has all the weapons. You have Foster Moreau. There's a chance that Darren Waller comes back. You have Devontae. You have Josh Jacobs. It it's Vegas. It's all Vegas. All hands on deck on the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat with the Raiders. I mean, they've lost a surprising amount of games for how stacked they are on paper. But I don't know. It is the Broncos country is not riding. All right, they've sucked all season. I'm not taking them. I don't know if I'll ever pick the Broncos, so I'm picking the Raiders on this one. But moving on to Vikings versus Cowboys. That is going to be a important game.
Yeah, no. Vikings hands down. Sorry, Cowboys. You're all overhyped. The Vikings have been the silent giant this whole time. Vikings are gonna solidify their spot. They're gonna for the NFC North and the NFC overall. I think the Vikings have an electric offense and a solid enough defense that they can stall out um, the Cowboys. I haven't seen the Dak that once was, where Dak just like run around, throw crazy balls and all that. Don't get me wrong, they have a great offense. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz, and then Tony Pollard did pop off. I still have the Vikings on this one.
No, I'm in the same boat. I think Dak's a bum. Vikings +1. Very tight spread too. The Dallas is favored by 1 point, so I'm taking the Vikings +1 on that one, no question.
I say bring back Cooper Rush, but
Yeah.
uh, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you both here. I the Vikings. I don't see anything going unless Mike Parsons has an absolute monster of a game. I don't see anything going too well for Dallas this game.
Yeah, I don't think you can bet against them. Next is Bengals at Steelers. Cincinnati -4.5. Pittsburgh +4.5. What do you guys think?
Give me my boy Joe Burr. I I don't see the Steelers doing anything. They've been absolutely atrocious. I think it's been like maybe 2 or 3 games where they scored more than 20 points. So I just don't see them doing anything against Cincinnati this week. I'll take Cincinnati and I'll take the over.
What about you, Gian?
Yeah, my gut is telling me Cincinnati, but we still have Jamar Chase out. I think they have a couple of corners out or questionable. Najee Harris hasn't been phenomenal though, and I don't know if Minka comes back.
Isn't
This
TJ
is
Watt back?
TJ Watt is back.
That's a big piece of it.
Um, yeah. So that being said, this is division rivalry match. You almost never know how these go. Give me the Steelers. Give me this 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. Um, I don't really know where my head's at with the whole thing. Initially, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's the Bengals. They're gonna light them up. But then I think Jamar Chase is out. You got T.J. Watt coming back. It's a divisional game, so I don't know. I want to pick Pittsburgh, but I don't want to bet against Joe Burrow. I feel like you don't do that. You can't bet against Joe Shiesty. I feel like that's disrespectful. So I'll keep Cincinnati -4.5. That's what I have written down here. I'm just gonna keep it. I'm not gonna second guess myself. Although I won't be surprised if it's by a field goal. I think the 4.5 point spread is probably a good one because I don't really know where that's gonna fall. I think that the Bengals win, but I don't know if it's by enough points to cover the spread. But I'll stick with it. I want to have faith in my Bengals. So moving on to Chiefs at Chargers. Kansas City -6.5. Chargers +6.5. That's a pretty big spread for a divisional game between two good teams. What do you guys think?
Well, considering the Chargers, their defense is completely depleted. Mike Williams might come back offensively, but I mean, you really only have Eckler, Palmer. Honestly, DeAndre Carter did work his ass off in the previous game, but I hate going against Chargers on this one. But actually, when you think about it, Titans put up a tough game against Kansas City not too long ago as well. This is a tough one.
Yeah, I got
Give
Chargers
me,
to cover the
give me,
spread.
yeah, yeah. Give me the Chargers. Herbie is going to keep the game close. I love Justin Herbert. He's a great player, and it looks like that rib injury of his is starting to wane away. Give me the Chargers, especially if Mike Williams is slated to come back and everything. And I think this is also going to be a rather scrappy game. So I'll also actually no, we'll just keep it. We'll just keep the spread. Keep the spread on this one. Chargers.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
I'm taking the
gonna
Chargers. Just I think it's 6.5 is too many points. 6.5 is too many points for a divisional game. Go ahead, Frank.
I'm gonna go against both y'all's picks and take Kansas City. I don't think that Mike Williams is going to be back. I've got him on one of my fantasy teams, and every week it's like it's possible that he could come back, and he doesn't. So I think that Juju comes back with a vengeance out of this concussion protocol stuff, and I think that Isaiah, I don't know how you pronounce his last, but that new running back that they got going on is going to do some damage, especially. And so I'll take the spread with the Chiefs.
Yeah, and last game is 49ers at Cardinals. San Francisco's -8. Cardinals +8. What do you guys think?
City. So I think that I'm going to go with the Cardinals just to keep it a little interesting. I have a feeling you two are going to go with San Francisco just because they've been so hot and they're probably going to win the NFC. But
Well, that's the thing that I'm on. I think that the Niners have a good chance of winning the division, making the playoffs, even going to the Super Bowl. But 8 is a lot of points. 8 points is a lot for a divisional game. So I and the Cardinals won last week. I don't know, man. It's tough. I I don't know what
what's
to
going
do.
on with video games? I haven't been keeping up with my video game release schedule. Is it going to affect Kyler Murray
I don't.
and his
I don't.
performance?
Listen. I don't think there's been a double. I don't think there's a double XP weekend slated. So I think the Monday night game's good to go. There's no double XP weekend. I don't think there's a new game coming out. I mean, there's a new Pokemon game coming out soon, but that's not his style. Like there's first-person shooters, Call of Duty, GTA, stuff like that. So I think we're gonna have full Kyler, not you know video game Kyler. So
Not and
yeah, I think I like Arizona +8 on this one. Honestly, I think it's just 8 is too many points, man. You're gonna hear me say that a lot this season. These spreads are getting larger and larger as the season goes on. I don't like 8 points. It's too many. I got Arizona +8.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with Ethan here. I mean, another division match. Both teams are pretty close. San Francisco's 5-4. Cardinals are 4-6. So I mean, this is a big make or break match, especially for their division. It's going to be really scratchy. We have D Hop back. Rondell Moore is phenomenal. Uh, Kyler James Conner is back as well. Is I think Zach Ertz. I don't remember if he's back or not,
He's out for
but
the season.
he's out for the season. Okay. So even though they're short on tight end, they Cardinals still have a video game in their backfield, and his name is Kyler Murray. So there's a good opportunity for him to pop off. And too many points on the board. This is a trap. Give me your, give me Arizona.
Beautiful. So we've got all of our picks. I got them written down here on this index card. Next week I'll tally them up, see what our totals are, and let's say at the end of the NFL season, you guys want to make a bet right here. The two losers give the winner $50 each. So like if Gian you win, me and Frank will each give you $50. If I win, you guys each give me $50. Total wins at the end of the season. Whoever has the best record.
Yeah.
we could just get whoever wins jersey of their choice.
Oh, I like that. Let's
Ooh,
do that. Yep.
I like that.
Two
I like
losers
that.
go and get the winner jersey of their choice. So I've got them all locked in. I'll send it to you guys. You guys have there's no cheating. You guys have your picks. But that's all we got right now. Got the picks going into this weekend.
We forgot one pick.
What pick did we forget?
Panthers, Baltimore.
Did we forget that? Oh
I think
shoot, we did.
yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Oh my bad. My CBS is not working properly. Where is that? Oh
All
yeah.
good, all
Jeez.
good.
Oh man, that's a lot of points. Oh
That's a
no.
lot of points on the board.
That's a lot of points.
Um,
It's Carolina +12, Baltimore -12. Oh man. I
oh,
hate the Panthers. I hate the Panthers. But 12 points is a lot.
The Panthers have been trash all season. I'm going with the Ravens.
Yep, Ravens all the way. 12
This is
points though.
so
I don't like
tough.
12 points. But I mean, the Ravens got a great defense. Panthers, they have a new quarterback. They're not using either Sam Darnold or Baker. We don't they did torch Tampa,
Are they Baker
but
this week? They're not using PJ Walker.
oh, they're using Baker this week.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right, well
I
that
got. You know what?
give me Baltimore. Give me Baltimore all
Give
the
me
way.
Carolina plus 12.
You are
12 is too many
crazy.
points. The Ravens defense is horrible. Baker Mayfield. I mean, he knows the Ravens. Baker Mayfield knows the Ravens. I got Carolina plus 12. I think they're going to lose, but it's not going to be by 2 touchdowns. There's no way they're losing by 12 points. No chance.
Carolina is tanking for the rest of the season. It's Baltimore. Baltimore,
Hey,
Baltimore, Baltimore.
we'll
Fly
see,
Ravens
man.
fly.
Hey, this could be an opportunity for you two to get up on me, but I'm hoping it's an opportunity for me. But that's all I got. It's picks for next week. We've locked those in. We'll come back next week and go over everything, go over more news. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Go ahead and give your sign offs, Gian Frank. Say your goodbyes.
All right, take it easy, guys. Like and subscribe. Fins up, fins up. We're taking it, baby. Just you wait. Tua's gonna be MVP, and you know it. You heard it here first.
Yeah, don't have much to add to that. Stay classy.
Awesome. We'll catch you guys next week.